Hey everybody, welcome to video number 21 in the UE5 vehicle tutorial series. In this video we will add a way for the players to sort through the list of available vehicles, because I've been adding a few and the list is getting pretty long, and so I'd like for the players to be able to search through the vehicles by categories. And specifically the way I want to categorize those is just by brand, because that's what makes the most sense as a first kind of filter. So the way to do that, very first thing would be to create an enum with the names of the brand that you want to be able to sort through. Let's go back into the UI folder, go to blueprint and enum. Let's call it enum underscore brands. Now here you can add enum. Display name would be about, we start with Toyota. Honda, I don't have one yet, but I will. I've got a bunch of 3D models laying around waiting to be prepped, rigged, imported. Toyota, Subaru, Mazda, Porsche, Nissan, Mercedes, Mazda, Bugatti. Alright, missing the Nissan. And now that I'm finished, I think it'd be a good idea to put them in alphabetical order. So, start with B. Now, it's really hard to see, but completely to the left here, you can grab them and move them around. So, and for some reason you can't drop them completely at the bottom, so okay, save the enum. Now let's find our data asset for the vehicles. So I believe I put it in vehicle common. No, actually that would have made way too much sense. It is in the content folder. And I don't mean the vehicle data asset. Really what I mean is the primary data asset that all of the vehicle data assets are derived from, because we're going to add a new variable to it, which is going to be brand, and the type will be the enum we just created. Okay. And now you can see here in the default value, we now have a list of brands that we just put into the enum. I suppose I could have a unknown category, just for practical reasons. Okay, I am getting stuff in way too many different folders. I need to figure out a way to actually place those things in a way that makes sense. unknown is the one I'm actually going to set the default in the vehicle player data asset, primary data asset, sorry. Just so if I forget to set it, then I won't wind up in a completely random category. And now, let's go back into every vehicle we have. Open up the data asset. You can see there's a star here because it needs to be saved because it was modified. Because we now have a brand here that we can set. So this one's a Bugatti. This one's a Mazda. This one also a Mazda. Mercedes. Porsche. Okay, now all the vehicle data asset have a brand assigned. Let's go ahead and go back here into our UI folder, open up the main menu. Let's make some room here. That is the order 1. Let's have another scroll box here. What is the order of 2? So it's on top of that image, so we can click the scroll box. Very important. Now this one here has a size of 1000 and is 25 pixels from the border. We're gonna call that one scroll box brands. Although we're not gonna make this one a variable because we're going to put the buttons in here manually. Speaking of buttons, next step is going to be creating a new button widget, just like we did for the cars. So right click, user interface, widget, user widget, and we'll call it UMG brand button. And we're gonna rename that one UMG vehicle button. Sorry about that, that's our material. Our actual button is already named properly. Alright, let's go ahead, open up our UMG brand button, create a canvas panel. Set it to custom. Now just add a button in here so you can play with the size and see what looks good. For example, the default size here would be 40. Yeah, I guess 40 is a big enough button. And also let's copy and paste those buttons because they look good. So I want to reuse them just so the UI is consistent. Actually here, instead of custom, yep, desired, because the button is going to change its size depending on the text that's written in it. Alright. So the button is set to size to content. That's alright. For the text here, we'll give it a minimum size and desired width here. Alright, 200. And let's make sure the text here is centered. Then if you go, for example, with Mazda, which is a lot shorter, the button will remain the right size, so they're all roughly the same size unless you get a brand name that's like super long for some reason. In which case the button will expand accordingly. Now let's make that a variable. Call it brand. Let's go ahead and change here the text. We'll promote it to a variable, which we're going to call brand name. Let's make it instance editable and expose on spawn. Let's go back in here and add our newly created UMG brand button to our scroll box. As you can see, scroll box is way too small. .100 is way too big. No, actually that button is way too big. That is probably because of the size of the text. So let's go ahead and change it to about 24. Now I'm also forgetting, I should probably just copy and paste this scroll box because it's already got all the settings I want in it for the scroll bar and whatnot. Let's show you how to create it instead. So this one, first of all, you want not the button, the scroll box. You want the scroll orientation to be horizontal, like so. Scroll bar visibility, I'll set this one to hidden. Consume mouse wheel when scrolling possible, that's alright. There's also a few options like allow over scroll and animate wheel scrolling, navigation destination, which we've set to center here for the vehicle icons. We'll do the same here. And then wheel scroll multiplier. The other one I've set it to, was it 3 or 5? 5. just so it moves quicker. Since the thumbnails are pretty big, you really don't need to be that accurate with the mouse wheel. Okay. Let's actually select our button here. Let's create here our brand name. Let's call this one all. So you have a button to press when you want to show all of the cars. And let's go ahead and duplicate it. I'm actually thinking here. We don't need those to be variables. And so just to remove some clutter from the graph, we're going to untick them. Nope, nope, scratch that. You need them to be variable in order to have a... Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. Oh, would you look at that? Alright, I was right. Those do not need to be variables. And also, these are really far apart. Okay. Now let's open the enum. So I want to make sure I don't forget any of them. So I'll just have it open on the other monitor. You know what? I will actually enable the animation scrolling. Animate wheel scrolling. And I'll right click and drag. Not necessary. I'm actually wondering if it was a mistake maybe not to show the scroll bar. I kind of want to include it here in that border. Alright, you know what? Let's right click the first scroll box, wrap with vertical box, and let us have our brand scroll box dropped into the vertical box right here. Now that vertical box should take up the entire height, and our border will have to be a little bit taller. Let's go ahead and see what that looks like. Something happened. Oh, of course, yes. You don't want it to fill, because then it'll stretch the buttons. Still doing it. Oh, yeah, of course. You need a spacer. Oh, come on now. Hey, actually, you know what? I kinda like that. Not what I'm looking for, though. Okay. Whew. Got it. Now, as you can see, those big radiuses here are causing all sorts of ugliness here with the buttons. Let's go ahead and reduce those. Alright, that makes a whole lot more sense, I think. And I guess now that I know the size it's gonna have, I can move that back a little bit. And let's get to work on the actual buttons. I'll actually open the vehicle button as well to grab a couple things in there. Namely the main menu UMG here, which I believe I set from the main menu. Yeah. Now I'm not going to be able to do that because I'm not spawning them through a blueprint. But let's see here. Let's see what I can do about that. Let's see what happens here if I set it to instance editable and expose on spawn. Can I actually hear? Nah. Okay. What if I go ahead here? Let's see what kind of reference that gives us. Scrollbox brand. Okay. What about the parent of the scrollbox? That would be vertical box. And then probably border. Nah. There's got to be a better way to do this. Okay, get all widgets of class. Widget class would be main menu. Get the first one. There really only should be one. So get 0. And then we have here set main menu UMG. We can use that in the graph here. That's good. Let's also not expose it. There you go. Then we need an enum. There you go. Which, again, instance editable and expose on spawn. Now this one here I'll set to unknown, because when I click that one I want to show all of the cars in the list. When I click the Bugatti, I only want to show the cars that have the Bugatti brand set in their data asset, and so on and so forth. So oh no, I wish I could scroll in here like that. Okay, never mind. Now vehicle button, we are pretty much done with it. I got what I wanted to get out of it. Now whatever the let's actually give it another name, just in case we need to reference it somewhere else at some point. Okay, now whenever the player clicks the brand button, we want to clear this scroll box here. In scroll box vehicle thumbnails. We want to clear it, and then we want to go through the array called cars. And after that, let's get the car array, and then for each loop, so that returns us a primary data asset reference. So we're going to get the brand, and if they're the same, we add it to the scroll box. Unless brand enum here is set to unknown, in which case we're just adding them all, basically. So if my enum for this button is unknown, that is true. If the brand of the car is equal to the brand of this button, that's also true. So we want either one of them to be true. So either the car brand is the same as the button, or the button is set to unknown. And then what we want to do, let's go back here into the main menu, graph, so we can copy and paste this here. Now here for the main menu UMG, we're not going to leave it at self. We're actually going to use our neat little variable here, main menu UMG, that we've set on event construct. There you go. And here in child, we again want to get the vehicle scroll box. Now by default, the menu is just adding them all. If we go Bugatti, nothing happens. Oh, errors. Oh, nope. Okay, let's do some debugging here. Okay, none of the print strings are getting fired, which is weird. Hmm. Okay, how am I going to reference our main menu widget? Sorry about the delay. Okay, thank you, Google. So in case you haven't noticed, I didn't do this like in advance or anything. I just wanted to do it, and I figured I'd record myself doing it just so I can show you and kind of talk you through it, which is why those videos take a bit longer. Okay, so apparently it's a little trick. GetParent returns not really the parent widget class, but more like if you do that on this button, the parent is the scroll box, and the parent is the scroll box is the vertical, then the border, then the canvas panel. But if you do outer twice, that gives you the actual widget. What I mean is the user widget, the widget blueprint you've created. So now that should work, hopefully, unless I made another mistake. Oh, well, would you look at that? Huh. Oh, Toyota. There should be a Supra in here. Oh, there you go. Ta-da! Okay, I think that's it for this video. We've pretty much showed you a quick dirty way of creating categories for you to sort through a list or an array or a widget, pretty much anything you want. I know I could have just made a grid, you know, and put all the thumbnails on there, and it would have taken the whole screen, and I'm not much of a fan of that. I like to have lists of things and like pretty icons and animations. So yeah, this is what I like to do. Also, you could have any amount of categories. You could have a list of categories that you want to be able to sort your cars through. For example, here that scroll box could be a bunch of buttons, which would be all, weight, price, brand, whatever. And each one of those buttons would feed another scroll box, you know. So the traction would be forward wheel drive, rear wheel drive, and all wheel drive. And then you'd be able to click those and it would sort the cars for you. And for each one of those you need an enum and you need to add it to the primary data asset of your vehicles so that you can determine which vehicle falls into which category. So now that we've made one, you know how to make as many as you like. And yeah, I think I'll stop this video there. It's probably another hour-long video. Sorry about that. That's what happens when I don't do things before and I just kind of wing it and do it as I go, you know, for the first time. So this is you know, the length of this video, that's how long it takes me to do something for the first time. Like, I've never made that menu before, just so I could memorize it and show it to you after. You know, this is legit my first time making this menu. So, alright, well, thank you very much for watching. Again, consider subscribing to my Patreon so that you can get access to the project files, because that project is growing pretty good. It'll be a fine template to start your game from. And also check video description for the Discord if you need to ask any questions or if you just want to say hello, I guess. And I will see you in the next video.